Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhupada quotes. These books are so potent that anyone who reads them is sure to become Krishna conscious. So it is very valuable service to distribute our books. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We have Prabhupada quote. Distribution is preaching. It should not be thought of as done for money. It is executed as a preaching purpose with these guidelines in mind. Try to distribute as many books as possible. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We have Sadhak Seva announcement text. Sadhak Seva means practical seva opportunities to help each other in different situations like job search, business referral, house search, finding loans officers, taxes help, legal help, health-related help, matrimonial-related, and many other types of help. Sadhak Seva means we should not only help motivating others for japa, but also help in other practical ways. Everyone who is a member of Japa conference must also help everyone else in a more practical sense. Presently, please share your name and number to our Everyday Chant Harinam Japa WhatsApp group or email to everydaychant@gmail.com. Thanks. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Namah Sarvebhya Shishwagatam Bhaktaganam Kripya Tanamevam Vasanagranam Bhajatu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Surinder Ballari from Maryland. Hare Krishna to every devotee also. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा गुरु महाराज की जय प्रभुपाद की जय धन्यवाद प्रभु जी हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna. Mama Nama Sharanagata Devi Dasi. Aham Clarksburg Nagare Vastami. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai.
कृष्णा गुरु महाराज की जय प्रभुपाद की जय धन्यवाद माता जी हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna, Mama Nama Shamarasika Devidasi. German Town Nagare Vasami. Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Dandavat Pranam.
कृष्णा गुरु महाराज की जय प्रभुपाद की जय धन्यवाद माता जी हरे कृष्णा
हरे कृष्णा सुमति माता जी मम नाम हलाधर दास अहम श्रीमद नगरे वसामि Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. My humble obeisance to all the devotees on the phone call. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्णा गुरु महाराज की जय प्रभुपाद की जय धन्यवाद प्रभु जी हरे कृष्णा Hare Krishna. Would anybody else like to announce their names? Hare Krishna. Would anybody else like to announce their names? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Today we are reading chapter 18, the conclusion, the perfection of renunciation, text number 36. Hare Krishna. Shamagata Mataji. Please take over the call now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad. Sumati Mataji. My Dandavat Pranam and obeisances to all the assembled devotee. We will start our today's discussion by reciting our Mangalacharan prayer. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam सहगण रघुनाथान्वितान् त्वं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे Okay, so we will start from shloka number 36. We will recite shloka number 36 first, discuss that, and then we will see the next three verses.
Hello?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, Prabhuji, please kindly guide us how to chant this verse.
How many verses, Mataji?
Just one, 36.
Oh, okay. Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad. So it's in English Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text number 36. Sukham tvidani trividam shृणु me bharatarshava abhyasad ramate yatra dukhantam cha nigacchati. Sukham tvidani trividam shृणु me bharatarshava abhyasad ramate yatra dukhantam cha nigacchati. Hare Krishna, please try it.
सुखं त्विदानीं त्रिविधं शृणु मे भरतर्षभ अभ्यासाद्रमते यत्र दुःखान्तं च निगच्छति सुखं त्विदानीं त्रिविधं शृणु मे भरतर्षभ अभ्यासाद्रमे यत्र दुःखान्तश्च निगच्छति हरि बोल हरे कृष्णा प्लीज ट्राई एवरीवन
Hare Krishna. Srimati is reading. Sukham tvaidanyam trividham shृणु me bharatarshava abhyasad ramate yatra dukkhantam na cha nigacchati. Hare Krishna.
anybody would like to
Hare
try
Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji, Shamarasika here. Sukham tvidanim trividham shृणु me bharatarshava abhyasad ramate yatra dukkhantam cha nigacchati. Hare Krishna.
thank you mataji I don't think anyone so sukham means happiness tu means but idanim means now trividham of three kinds shrunu hear me from me bharatar shabha means o best among the bharatas Abhyasat means by practice, ramate one enjoys, yatra where, dukkha of distress, antam the end, cha also, nigacchati means gain. So translation is the best of the Bharatas. Now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. So here few words are very, very important. Abhyasadramate yatra means is practice to enjoy that, and dukkhantam cha nigacchati means that sometimes it will end to the end all is distress. So let's see purport. It's a very small purport. Sumati Mataji, would you like to read?
Yes, Mataji. Purport by Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A conditioned soul tries to enjoy material happiness again and again. Thus he chews the chewed. But sometimes, in the course of such enjoyment, he becomes relieved from material entanglement by association with the Great Soul. In other words, a conditioned soul is always engaged in some type of sense gratification, but when he understands by good association that it is only a repetition of the same thing, then and he is awakened to his real Krishna consciousness, he is sometimes relieved from such repetitive so-called happiness. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, it was on mute. Thank you, Mataji. So here Prabhupada is mentioning about one of the verse in Srimad Bhagvatam where Prahlad Maharaj is talking to all his friends that whatever happiness you are getting by the sense gratification, he was talking about his father also and all the his demonic friends or demonic children around him. That whatever happiness you are getting by by being in a mode of passion and in a mode of uh, uh, ignorance. Tamas means mode of ignorance or darkness. So whatever happiness you are getting from that, that is what is like you had tried it in like many, many lifetimes. Like lifetimes after lifetimes, you are trying the same thing. So that is why it is said that that you are chewing the same thing that is already being chewed. So you are trying to eat a lot and enjoy. You're trying to rule over others and try to enjoy. So there are so many different ways of satisfying your senses and satisfying your ego, satisfying your mind, intelligence. But all these happinesses, they are very temporary. So here Prabhupada is mentioning that all those happiness is not what is going to give you the permanent happiness. So we have to look for the way to find out a permanent happiness. And he said that like by chance, if you come across someone who is already in that, like enjoying that happiness, here in Sanskrit, the word is ananda. It's not sukha, but ananda. Ananda, if you enjoy once, then you will not go after sukha. So there is a difference between the two. Ananda is something which is like, which is coming from within you. I mean, this is something that like you sometimes feel that happiness by doing something, some small things, and you experiences that happiness within. It is not nothing that like, someone is praising you from outside or you're getting something from outside. It is just coming from within. So that is called as a ananda. And what you are trying to look in like outside world, that is we are you know comforts and all these kind of things which will satisfy our ego, all these things we are doing, it is called as a sukha. And why we are doing all these things, all this trouble we are going through all these things, and you want to be in a comfortable place, you want to like learn more and all that, because ultimately we want to experience that ananda. So that is what um, this complete chapter is talking about, because we were like talking about different type of actions, like three different actions, and there also we found out that like actions which are done without any expectations are the actions that are in a mode of a goodness, and that is what will lead you towards the ananda. Then knowledge also, the knowledge which is like talking about, or which see that like everyone is same, that same Paramatma is in all of us. It is not, this knowledge will not divide anyone, but it will unite everyone. So again, this kind of knowledge will give you, we will give you happiness or that ananda that I was talking about, which is in a mode of a goodness again. Karma also, we saw that there are three type of actions, then karta, buddhi, dhriti. All these things we were learning, and we were, we were looking at all these three different kinds of dhruti or a buddhi. So what was it all about? It was like how we are understanding, how through senses we are trying to look around, and the perspective that we have, that is what will give us a real kind of a happiness. So if I'm looking at something, say two devotees talking to each other, and I feel that like, oh, they must be talking about me, then I'll not find any kind of a sukha here, like I'll find distress. If then worse than that is like you think that, oh, they are talking really bad about me and like that. So you can go into distress by seeing the same thing. But if you see, look at the two devotees talking happily, and you see that, oh, that is so wonderful, that two souls, and Krishna is sitting into both the hearts, and they are talking with each other. So two hearts are connecting. Krishna is connecting with each other. Like, Krishna sitting in one body and Krishna sitting in other body, inspiring these souls to connect with each other. So if this kind of a vision you have, that is a dhruti, like, how your intelligence is analyzing and getting the knowledge from what it is seeing, depending on that you will get a happiness. So everything, all these things that until now we studied, that is only just so that we will find out the right type of a happiness. So here, uh, Krishna is saying that like Arjuna here about three kinds of happiness. Again, like mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. There are three type of happiness, and he's giving a generic overview of like these three kind of happiness in this particular verse. He's saying that like there is, like, you have to do abhyasa ramate yatra. You have to that sometimes the living entity enjoy that kind of a happiness, uh, which they have to practice to enjoy. It is not that, like, I mean, they are cultivating to enjoy it. It is not that something like coming very easily to them. They are like trying to enjoy it. They are practicing. They are like, molding themselves to enjoy that kind of a happiness, and that will sometime end. That will take them to end of their all the miseries. The living entities will come out of the miseries and attain the end of the sorrow or end of the dukkham by doing the practicing this kind of a some type of the enjoyment. So how it is possible that something, temporary will take you to the um, end of all the miseries? Because we all know that, like, Krishna talked about it in the fifth chapter, that like all the material pleasures, they have a beginning and the end. And then also in seventh chapter also he talks about like whenever whatever you are getting the fruits by worshipping the demigods, they are also temporary. So again and again he's mentioning that antavanta phalam tesham, that he's saying that everything is temporary here. Even the fruit of all the activities is temporary, and that which will end, and it has a beginning, so it has an end too. So Krishna has talked about it many times and many things, like, which is saying that like sukha in this material world is temporary, and there is a some certain period that you will enjoy that, and then it is a termination. So how is it that, like, you will terminate all the miseries by practicing this kind of a sukha? So here, to explain this, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives some explanation by considering that verse number 37 is coming. So he's talking about the mode of a goodness, that kind of a sukha. He connects this verse to the next verse. And next verse talks about the sukha, or the happiness that you are getting in the mode of a goodness. So what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, that happiness in a mode of goodness has to be, as I said, that has to be cultivated, it has to be practiced. and it doesn't come automatically. So when you try to practice this kind of a happiness, it means that it is taking you closer to the happiness which you are getting by transcending this all three modes. Means you are, first of all, you are experiencing the happiness in a mode of goodness, and then we have to go beyond these three modes and experience the happiness that I was mentioning about the ananda. So only by staying in a mode of a goodness, you can go towards the ananda, or you can go beyond these three modes. Someone who is in a like very tamasic mode or very rajasic mode, we saw all these examples, like we saw the conditions, that how people in a tamasic behave, how they do their action, how they get the knowledge, what kind of a knowledge they believe in, the knowledge which will divide everyone. So these kind of the mentality, with this kind of overall personality, you are not going to go closer to the Krishna. This is all taking you away from the Krishna. So unless and until you come to the mode of a goodness, you will not receive any kind of a spiritual knowledge. So here, like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary says that, like, happiness in a goodness, and that which is after after we go beyond these three modes, they are kind of similar, but still there is some kind of a differences also, and we will see both while studying these next work. But we have to understand that, like, uh, to end our to really, if we are in a misery, we are in a some problems, and if we just try to open a bottle of a liquor and try to just consume that, thinking that, like, at the bottom of the liquor there is somewhere a happiness, then you are not going to find it. You have to come out of that miseries, or come out of that distress, by using your intelligence. And by using your intelligence, you have to look for the right type of a knowledge around you, right type of a dhruti should be there, right type of mindset should be there. And if all this is aligned in a mode of a goodness, then you will experience that kind of a happiness, which will take you ultimately towards the ananda. So let's see, next three verses will, actually will give us like many different examples, that like how you can differentiate that this is a happiness in a mode of goodness, this is a happiness in a mode of passion, and happiness in a mode of ignorance. And also, let's see that what Krishna is talking about these three happiness. So we will do the next three verses. Prabhuji, please kindly recite all three verses, and we will all chant these three verses after him, will- and then we will discuss. So let's do 37, 38, and 39.
Okay, Hare Krishna Mataji. Text 37. Yattad agre visham eva pariname mritopamam tat sukam satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. Yattad agre visham eva pariname mritopamam tat sukam satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. 38. Visayendriya samyogad yattat agre mritopamam pariname visham eva tat sukam rajasam smritam. Visayendriya samyogad yattat agre mritopamam pariname visham eva tat sukam rajasam smritam. 39. Yattat agre chanubande च सुखम मोहनम आत्मनः निद्रालस्य प्रमादोत्तम तत्तामसम उदारितम. यद अग्रे चानुबंधे च सुखम मोहनम आत्मनः निद्रालस्य प्रमादोत्तम तत्तामसम उदारितम. हरे कृष्ण माता जी.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So I'll recite all these three verses. Yat यत्तदग्रे विषमिव परिणामे अमृतोपमम् तत्सुखं सात्विकं प्रोक्तम् आत्मबुद्धिप्रसादजम् विषयेन्द्रियसंयोगात् अद्यदग्रे अमृतोपमम् परिणामे विषमिव तत्सुखं राजसंस्मृतम् यदग्रे चानुबन्धे च सुखं मोहनमात्मनः निद्रालस्य प्रमादोत्थं तत्तामस मुदावृतम् हरि बोल प्लीज ट्राई
Hare Krishna, Srimati reading, text 37. Yattad agre vishameva pariname mritopamam tatsukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. Text number 38. विषयेन्द्रिय संयोगात् यत्तद् अग्रे मृतोपमं परिणामे विषमेव तत्सुखं राजसं स्मृतम्. Text number 39. यदग्रे चानुबन्धे च सुखं मोहनमात्मनः निद्रालस्य प्रमादोत्थं तत्तामसं मुदाहृतम्. हरे कृष्ण.
anybody else would like to recite
हरे कृष्ण माताजी। यत्तदग्रे विषमिव परिणामे मृतोपमं तत्सुखं सात्विकं प्रोक्तम् आत्मबुद्धिप्रसादजम्। 3 श्लोकास् right?
yes
विषयेन्द्रियसंयोग अद्य तदग्रे मृतोपमं परिणामे विषमिव तत्सुखं राजसं स्मृतम्। 39 यदग्रे चानुबन्धे च सुखं मोहनात्मनः निद्रालस्य प्रमादोत्थं तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्। हरे कृष्ण।
thank you mataji anybody else okay so yat means which tat means that agre in the beginning visham eva like a poison pariname at the end amrita nectar Upamam means compared to tat that sukham happiness satvikam in a mode of a goodness proktam is said atma in the self buddhi of intelligence prasadajam means born of satisfaction or born of prasada or born of mercy. So translation is that which in the beginning may be just like a poison but at the end is just like a nectar and which awaken one to self-realization is said to be happiness in a mode of a goodness. So purport says that in a now anybody would like to volunteer to read purport? Shamrasika Mataji.
I'll read Mataji if she does.
Yes, please go ahead.
37, right?
I'll
37.
read
Yes,
next Mataji.
Go
yes,
ahead.
Prabhuji, go ahead.
Okay. That which is the beginning may be just like a poisonous, but at the end it's just like a nectar and which awakens one to self-realization. Is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. The purpose. In the pursuit of the self-realization, one has to follow many rules and regulations to control the mind and the senses, and to concentrate the mind on the self. All these procedures are very difficult, bitter, and like poison. But if one is successful in following the regulations and come to the transcendental positions, he begins to drink real nectar and he enjoys the life. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, thank you. So here Srila Prabhupada is translating this word prasada. Prasadajan means, as I was saying, that prasad means mercy, but then Prabhupada is saying that born of a satisfaction. So as in the translation, like he translates that as, you know, um, he's like, which awakens to the self-realization, that is kind of like, it is mode of goodness is taking you to the spiritual or the practice of the spiritual life. That is what is Prabhupada talking about in the purport, that like such a practice is like very um, it is very difficult, and in the beginning it is like kind of a material level only. The spiritual practice, even if we are doing it, is like at the material level. So from material to spirituality it should take. So one starts to um, take interest or delight at that spiritual level, and then only it will become like a permanent sukha, or it will take you to the self-realization. And when you know yourself, that which will take you towards, like, within you, you can see that like you are the part and parcel of the Krishna. When that realization is there, when our intelligence become like, completely spiritualized, then only that prasada janma, that satisfaction will born, and then there only you will experience the sukha or the ananda, which is like beyond this all the three modes. But in the beginning, what you are practicing is in a mode of a goodness. So, for example, like if a child is playing, okay, I mean, he naturally likes to play. Everyone likes to play. Children, they are very much interested and attracted towards their toys and everything. But the child knows that like he required some to do some study. So there is a requirement of a discipline and effort. And though child is not much interested in this discipline, routine, and studying, but if he starts taking interest in studying, and like, if he's very, happy to study and get the marks and see the results, and once he starts taking interest and start enjoying that, then he will, relish higher kind of a happiness. He will study more and more, and then what happiness he will get is not just because of the outward, that like, result of whatever he how he performed, but within himself also. When you get a knowledge and when you realize that knowledge, there is some kind of a happiness, and that child starts getting that kind of a happiness. So similarly, in a mode of goodness, initially we may not take the pleasure in the starting something, or because we are moving, like, our we are like usually we are like, rajasic and a tamasic people. And mostly we are rajasic. We want to do some activity and then find out pleasure in that activity. But here now we are asked to do some disciplined routine and then do something. Like, even if like mode of goodness, one simple thing, that getting up early in the morning, even if you're not chanting, sadhana and everything comes like as a part of a spiritual process. But even like in general, like in India also, like you see that like mothers are getting up early in the morning so that they can, clean the front yard, and then take care of like, their routine chores, and then prepare food for everyone. So this is like, consistently doing that for years and years. Every mother wants to sleep for a long hours, like, if it is in winter time or something like that, but she is consistently doing that. So, and then she is getting some kind of enjoyment or fulfillment or satisfaction, because sometimes she sleeps for a longer hours, and then all the routine is disturbed, and she gets that like, oh no, I want to get back to. So that discipline and practice will give you very different kind of a happiness, and that will inspire you to stay in that disciplined life, and that is how you will experience the higher and higher sukha. So in the beginning, yes, it is like a poison, but in the end it is like a nectar. And why it is said as a nectar? Because ultimately, if you stay in a mode of a goodness, it will take you towards, or it might take you towards the spiritual path, and it will be like, there is a more progress on the spiritual path, just like mentioned in the earlier words, that this kind of a practice of this kind of a happiness will or might take you to a place where you will know yourself, you will you will be in a state of self-realization, and that time all the miseries from your life will vanish. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also mentions in the Shishtastakam that like at every step, he's saying that like there is a complete nectar. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about the Sankirtan where there is a every step is a complete nectar. So he's saying that like it's not like in the beginning it is a poison and later it is a nectar, because that is compared to the material happiness. Material happiness is something that it is in the beginning poison and then at the end it is a nectar. But when we cross that all and we are at that nectar level, like we are in the mode of complete mode of a goodness, we are practicing the happiness in a mode of goodness. For years and years, we are practicing this all. Now starts your spiritual journey, your real spiritual journey. So what we are doing right now, practice, it is like just a sadhana, it is just a upasana. We are trying to come to the mode of a goodness. But when we will come on the mode of a goodness and beyond that we will try to go, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that then every step you experience that happiness or a nectar. It is never ever a poison. So, going out in a Sankirtan, doing Sankirtan outside, staying with the family. Right now we are doing some kind of a sadhana for an hour or a two, and then full day we are just, kind of following our routine where there is lot of passionate things that we are doing, lot of like we are going out eating sometimes, we are doing the activities, watching something. So we are feeding lot of like, tamas and rajas to our body, and we are expecting that like we will be always in a mode of a goodness. No, we will not be in a mode of goodness. We have to, even if it feels very hard, even if it is a poisonous, we have to consistently stay in a mode of goodness throughout the day for years and like days after days, months after months, years after years, and then we will start enjoying that being in a mode of a goodness, and then our spiritual journey starts. So whatever we are doing, few hours of sadhana and rest all day, whatever we like to do, we are doing that kind of activity. It will not take us to really, like, nectar in the beginning and nectar at the end, that kind of a sukha. So that is just something that I added by after reading this, some of the purports. So we can, yeah, I was thinking about like one more example before we go to the next verse, that Rupa Goswami also mentions about like, jaundice, like if the patient who is in a who has a jaundice, so he tastes even the sweetness or the sugarcane juice also, he feels that it is really really bitter. And then if he still continues to do that, like, he still continues to drink that sugarcane juice, which is like very bitter to his tongue right now, but that same sugarcane juice will purify his body, and then ultimately the jaundice will go away, and then he will experience the real sweetness. So here is a example of, in the beginning it is a poison, but at the end it is a nectar. So like that only, whatever routine we have, like, we are told, our acharya told that like, stay away from the asat sangha. So asat sangha means like, people who are doing the activities which are not very Krishna conscious, or we are told to, stay away from like, materially inspired things that you get it in the outside the world, like watching TV, going to the movies, or like, so I'm not doing it, but I'm just, saying from my experience that if you are engaged in these kind of activities, it is very, very difficult to stay in Krishna consciousness or stay in a goodness for a longer time. So even if you don't feel that like you're ready for this kind of a change, because sometimes you say that like, okay, I'm not ready for this kind of staying in a mode of goodness. In fact, like just a few days back, I felt that, after many, many years, if I don't see any progress, then maybe, it's very hard for me to stay in Krishna consciousness. And we give the all sorts of reasons that like my family is in not Krishna consciousness, or my friends around is not in Krishna consciousness, or I don't have a temple nearby, or the devotees are like, I don't have a sangha. So there are so many millions of reasons we give so that we don't want to be in a Krishna consciousness, or we don't want to keep that, like, mode of goodness routine. So that time we feel that, like, we are not ready for the change. But we can change to feel that we are ready. It's up to us. I can say anytime, any moment that, like, yeah, I'm ready for this change, and I can start with whatever I have, wherever I am, and not, expect too much from myself. I should not be thinking that I need to be here. But in the beginning, you should start with, like, wherever I am. I'm right now here, and I just want to take few steps. I'm just doing my routine 16 rounds, but let me do it like really better way. I'm doing 16 rounds and I'm reading, like, one verse. So let me read two verses every day. I'm reading like 16, I'm doing 16 rounds, reading two verses, and I'm listening to one lecture every day. So how can I change that? Or how can I, really sit quietly and listen to that lecture and then see how I can implement it in my life. So during the course of our life, we all sooner or later recognize that we need to change, and there is always a room for improvement in us. So though we are doing practice for the many years, there is a room for improvement. And if we are aware of that improvement, then that is the best way. That is the first step that we can really take. Really go to the next step. And sometimes it happens that despite being aware of our need of improvement, we often feel like strangely or strongly reluctant to do that changes. Very, I mean, these moments comes very few times, that when I go to some devotee's house and I see that, oh, she's progressed so much, and we were at the same level at one time. We both were when we both joined the Krishna consciousness same level. We both took the Diksha same level. And look at this devotee. She is so stable. She's so knowledgeable, and that, like, really inspires me to come home and read something nice. Or when I hear some amazing lecture from the Guru Maharaj, and that inspire me to, like, do something. Like, one of my very nice devotee, she inspired me to write a journal, and I just started writing journal. But after a few days, like that, that charge is somewhere, it is like it goes away. Like, people say so many times, devotee says that when we hear the lecture, we are like all inspired, but when we go to this outside world, or when we go home, go back to our routine, we are all, like, drained, and like we are completely engrossed in the material life. So to keep that momentum going, it is all in our hand only. Like, we feel that we are, like, Maya is stronger, but no, we are also, like, really stronger. We are part and parcel of Krishna. And we can take our control of our life, and we can set our own routine. Even if we don't feel like, we want to get up in the early morning, or even if we don't feel like doing it, we have to continuously do it. And because it is like poison in the beginning, it will eventually, I mean, no, this is the wrong sentence. Sorry. But what I mean is that even if you feel that it is like very difficult, or like a poisonous in the beginning, all my friends, like, who are not in Krishna consciousness, they are enjoying their life like anything. And I'm stuck here, like, getting early up in the morning. So because I have to get up in the morning, I have to sleep early in the morning. Because I'm sleeping early, I'm missing out all those parties. And daytime also, my routine is all around it. So if you're feeling that, and still you are continuously doing that, all the routine you are following, then ultimately you will, get used to enjoy this kind of a routine. You will have that taste. And then Krishna says that you will go beyond this mode of goodness, and then you will really enjoy that which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is mentioning in the Shishtastakam, that it is a nectar in every step, every day, every time you will experience that nectar, and that nectar will come within. It is not dependent on the outside world. So that kind of a happiness that we have to enjoy, and we have to look for, which is not, not at all dependent on the environment, not at all dependent on any materialistic things, which is not dependent on the time, or like, circumstances. This happiness is always within. And that is what is our aim. And we are doing all the struggle in this life so that we will get the happiness. And that happiness, I mean, my, you know, or um, anyone's like aim before joining the Krishna consciousness. If you ask why are you joining, because we want to get rid of all the miseries. And what that means is we want to enjoy something, or we want to experience that joy which is permanently there. And then, like Brahmananda, or the experience that you get after the self-realization, they describe that happiness or that ananda is like, there are different ways that is told, that like how that happiness is greater than all the happiness that you get in the material world. First of all, it is not a temporary happiness; it's a permanent happiness. So, isn't it nice that, like, because we are getting the happiness very temporary, like even if I'm trying to, even if like you are in a say many days you haven't eaten sweet, and one day you want to eat sweet, like there is a urge of eating sweet, and you eat that sweet, like for the first bite you experience that happiness, but after that, after some time, you feel that, oh no, I don't want any more this thing. I mean, let's say I like gulab jamun. I can eat like first bite very happily. I can finish my first gulab jamun. I can eat also the second one. But after three or four, if someone asks me to eat more gulab jamuns, I can't. I mean, because I'm not going to enjoy that anymore, because it's like that happiness was like only in the first few bites. It is not going to be permanent. And also, in order to enjoy that gulab jamun, my health should also be with me. Like, I mean, I have to keep checking that, oh, I don't have a diabetes, then I can enjoy it. Because other with the consciousness that, like, back of my mind, I'm thinking that, oh, it might shoot up my sugar, I can't enjoy even my first bite. Also, if I'm very old and like I lost a taste of my tongue, or I'm having jaundice like it was given in the beginning, then I can't enjoy that. So it is not a permanent happiness that I'm getting from this objects or the subjects, sense objects, we can say. So I'm not getting that from Vishaya. I'm that enjoyment that I'm getting, it is very temporary, but I'm looking for something which is permanent. Also, time and circumstances, it should go beyond the time also, and beyond the circumstances, and it should be equal to everyone. So what that means is that, like, I like to say, I'm going to Florida and I want to walk early morning on the beaches, and it's very pleasant. But as the sun is, at the time of sunrise, it is pleasant. After few hours also, it is pleasant. But as it started getting like hotter and hotter, and if it is like, summer days, then in Florida, you can't walk on a beach very happily at 12 o'clock noon. So this is again depending on the environment and time. But then the happiness that I'm getting within, that happiness we call it a Brahmananda, it is not dependent on the environment or on the time. So that kind of a happiness I'm looking for, and that you will get it once you are, going slowly to the mode of a goodness, and then you will jump beyond that and you will experience it happiness. So again and again, Prabhupada is saying that you all are in like mode of passion and ignorance. So at least try to come to the mode of a goodness. To come to the mode of a goodness, you should have a habit of a mode of a goodness. You should keep checking that are your actions in a mode of a goodness. Knowledge that you are getting is in a mode of a goodness. Your dhruti is in a mode of a goodness, means your perspective towards the life is in a mode of a goodness. Your buddhi in a mode of a goodness. So all these things that is like we had been studying from, like, maybe verse 18 or somewhere there, it started all these three modes. So all these three things you have to keep it in a mode of a goodness, and then only you will stay consistently in a mode of a goodness. If you stay consistently in a mode of a goodness for a longer period, in spite of you are getting utterly, finding it difficult to, follow that routine or follow that rules and regulations. If you keep yourself in that routine and more of goodness for a longer period, then ultimately you will go beyond that transcendent that. transcends that. Okay, so by that we will go to the next verse. So let's read the next two verses and then
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
text. Yeah,
Okay, translation matter. Translation purpose.
yeah. Let me do the word to word and then you can, Mataji. Yeah, thank you. So Vishaya means of the object of the senses. Indriya means and the senses. Samyogat means from the combination. That is Sanyog. It is from coming from the word Sanyog. So Sanyogat means from the combination. Combination of what? Vishay and Indriya. Vishay means all the objects, sense objects, and Indriya means the senses which are really trying to enjoy that, like flower or a smell. Our nose is, trying to enjoy that. Some tasty things, like our tongue is trying to enjoy that. So Vishaya and Indriya, when they come together, when there is a sanyog of that, yat, which, tad, that, agre, in the beginning, amrita upana means just like a nectar in the beginning, and pariname at the end, vishayam eva, like a poison, tat, that, sukham, happiness, rajasam, in a mode of passion, Vritaha is considered. The translation is that that happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects and which appears like a nectar at the first but poison at the end is said to be in a is a nature of a passion, or that it is a sukha of a passion. Mataji, you can read the translation and purport both. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Mata. Hare Krishna. Translation by Srila ki jai. The happiness that which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects and which appears like nectar at first but poison at the end is said to be of the nectar of passion. Purport. A young man and a young woman meet and the senses drive the young man to see her, to touch her, and to have sexual intercourse. In the beginning, this may be very pleasing to the senses, but at the end or after some time, it becomes just like a poison. They are separated, or there is divorce. There is lamentation, there is sorrow, etc. Such happiness is always in the mode of passion. Happiness derived from a combination of the senses and the sense objects is always a cause of distress and should be avoided by all means. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Just give me 1 second. So Krishna had already talked in 14th chapter that Rajasa tu phalam dukkham means Rajogun, whatever you are getting from mode of a passion, that kind of a fruit is always it will always turns into misery. So not only this place, but many other places, and in the 14th chapter also Krishna mentions that it will lead, whatever is in a mode of a passion, it will lead to the dukkha, or it will lead ultimately to the misery. So Bhagavad Gita, this particular shloka states that the sensual desires led us towards the deceptive pleasure. Means that the pleasures that taste like a nectar initially, but that turns into the poison eventually. Means it's a deceptive. It is like a mohajal, or we can say that like it's like a mirage, that we feel that there is a water, but there is no water. So it same way this feels like there is a pleasure, but there is no pleasure. And it is, yeah, sometimes we say that like, oh, but I do, experience it, but that experience is a different kind of a experience. We will talk about that also. So desire in this way is abducts our consciousness. Means what happens that with the promise of like enjoyment, like all our desires, like I desire to, I'm just talking about a very simple and very foolish example. I know you all are very advanced, but I'm just giving very simple example that, so desire, it abducts our consciousness with a promise of enjoyment, and this abduction means that like our awareness is pulled away from our like safety and sober zone. Like the child is like abducted from the secured home or a school. So once our consciousness is abducted, like, so as I said that, like, I have a desire to eat something. Suppose I want to eat, suppose today, Puran Poli. So that is like one of the sweet. I like it. So this my desire to enjoy some sweet thing. It completely, it is taking away my complete consciousness and my, and all the mind, I mean, all the time I'm planning that, oh, I have to do this particular recipe, then do I have the ingredients at home? If I don't have the ingredients, then I have to buy it. If I buy that ingredients, then I have to see that, like, I have enough time and there is no other program coming in between, because I need 3 to 4 hours, like, quiet time. So what is happening that, like, you want to enjoy that Puran Poli just for 5 minutes. It takes only 5 minutes, or say 15 minutes, to eat that particular thing and get an enjoyment from that for 5 minutes, but you are spending like 3 to 4 hours into that. So people who are very foodie and they think about food all the time, so their consciousness is always into that food, and it is called as a Annamay Kosh, which is like, the most outer and very gross type of a consciousness. The other, when you go, like, little bit of superior to that is a pranamay kosh, which is like, where, like, you are breathing, or like you have little bit, like a little higher consciousness. After that is the manomay kosh. So you are planning different things. You want to enjoy, say, art, or you are doing some kind of a plans, and then you planning itself feels very satisfaction. You are rejecting and things, or you are, accepting things according to, like, even if it is based on the Krishna conscious activities, you're involved into that planning and everything. So that is like a different kind of a manomay kosh, it says. And then after comes intelligence, which is all completely put into that. People who are not in the spiritual path, they find that, like, doing or solving Sudoku or puzzle, get a lot of pleasure into that, solving some. So this is good. I mean, all these things are not bad as such, like, from foodie to this intelligence level, but these are from gross towards, slowly you are progressing towards, like, subtle and subtle and subtle level. But you have to go beyond that if you want to stay in Krishna consciousness, or if you want some spiritual progress, then you have to overcome all these are all obstacles. These are not nothing to be proud of. I mean, these are all the obstacles on the Krishna conscious path. Unless and until you cross that, you are not going to get Krishna. That is like guarantee that you are not going to get Krishna. I mean, it is said by Prabhupada, by Krishna, many, many places. Krishna is saying that, like, if you are feeding yourself, Rajasic, if you are going to, your consciousness is always into all this sense enjoyment activities, because we say for the name of, like, we are doing the prasadam, we are honoring the prasadam. But see, look at your consciousness. Only you can judge yourself. Only you can study yourself. Unless and until you sit down and study that what's going on. I mean, I'm saying that, like, I'm doing prasadam, I'm eating prasadam, I'm going to temple, but what are my motives behind that? I mean, am I really working towards my spiritual life? If I am working towards my spiritual life, then why I don't see the Gyan and Vairagya? I mean, there should be Vairagya. If you are properly on the path of the Krishna consciousness, then you should feel that, like, after some days, that kind of a Vairagya you should experience. You should experience, Jnana, and then you will know that you are progressing on the Krishna consciousness. If you are still the same, you are maintaining still the previous routine, just you are saying that, oh, I adjusted only few things, that I am cooking the same way, but I'm just showing it to Krishna and I'm honoring prasadam. But your consciousness behind that is the enjoyment. It is in the mode of a passion. So many devotees, I mean, as I've mentioned again and again, most of us are in a mode of a passion. Please do not feel that, like, we are like a devotees and we are doing that, we are superior to others. No, not at all. Because we are, in fact, we are in a delusion. We are, we misguiding ourselves, because unless and until a person realizes that we are doing something wrong, he will not go to the right path. We are here completely under a blanket, like, yeah, we took the shelter, we are initiated first, second, and like your routine is like, completely like a materialistic people, but just few things changes, you change, and you are feeling that like, I'm progressing, then no, you have to see your progress for yourself. Sit down and see that like how much you are on Jnana and Vairagya path, then only you will find that you are in a Krishna consciousness. And then like as I was talking about this small small desire, they are abducting you, and then they are leaving you in a place where there is like all the trouble and all the miseries. They are just leaving you, just like someone abduct a child and just living far far away from his home, some place where he is completely lost, and then that time you will not even know what to do. So like that we will find ourselves in the trouble. So sometimes it impact our health, our wealth, our reputation, our responsibility, morality, spirituality, all is like, it is like killed by our desires. And very nice example I was reading, it was given by Chaitanya Charandas Prabhuji. He was saying that like there is very suppose there is very important exam that we are studying, and like whole my life, I mean again this is a materialistic example, my complete career, my life, my everything is based on that. I mean it is going to launch our my career in a field that like I've always wanted to be, it's like my calling. And while studying I feel like, let me just check my phone for 5 minutes, I will just see the latest news, or I will just see who all just, WhatsApp me, and then I will go back to my study. But as soon as I glance at the news or my WhatsApp, I am completely lost into the social media, and then minutes turns into hours, and then like hours and hours I'm on social media, and then there is no time left for my exam preparation. And we do very poorly in the exam preparation. There is no miracle going to happen. That only happened in the movies. In real life, no miracle. If you do not study, then nothing. You will not get anything out of that exam. And then you just lose the chance of lifetime. This opportunity is never ever going to come back again, because it was something that like, you wanted to go to that certain career. And then you start doing something else that you are, kind of, you never wanted to choose this career, but eventually I never studied and I got very bad grades, so I have to go to certain college that I was not in my list, and eventually I am working in a place where I don't want to be. So here, very nice example, he says that when you are um, you know doing whatever you want to do, you are like prone to do like, the experiences of um, if we keep doing whatever we like to do, we will end up in a place where we dislike ourselves. I'll repeat again. If we keep doing whatever we like to do, we will end up in a place where we dislike ourselves. So I was giving the very materialistic example, where we are talking about the study and career, and when you will end up in a career where you don't never wanted to be. You will your work also, you don't want to be doing that work, but you will end up there, and then you start disliking. Oh, why I did that? There is a regret and all that. So this can happen in our spiritual life also, because life just, it is passing, time is passing, and if we are not properly utilizing it, eventually it will lead you to a place where you will start disliking that, like, oh, 15 years back I started my Krishna consciousness and I don't see any progress. I don't see like getting, any kind of a vairagya in me. I don't see any kind of like, knowledge wise, any kind of a improvement in me. And again, that is not our ultimate goal. These are all the I mean, these are all the characteristics, or these are all the things that is showing us the progress, but this is not our ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal is to going towards the closer to the Krishna and enjoy that happiness which is permanent. But if you are not doing that and you are just engaged in the Vishayendriya, then Krishna is saying that it feels like really poison, nectar in the beginning, but it will end into poison. So I think I was having a lot of points on that, but let me just leave it there, and we will see the last verse, which is saying that yet that which agre in the mm, in the beginning, cha also, anubandhe at the end, cha also, sukham happiness, mohanam means illusory, atmanan of the self, nidra sleep, alasya laziness, pramada and illusion, utham means processed, tad that, tamasah in the mode of ignorance, udarate, rudatam or it is said to be. So, and that happiness which is blind to self-realization. So, first of all, Krishna is saying that like it is blind to self-realization. Means if you are at like tamasic level, there is no way you are going to the self-realization. No way you will progress towards it because which is delusion from the beginning and which ends also and end is also in the delusion only and which arises from what? From the sleep, from the laziness, from the illusion. So that is a happiness in a mode of ignorance. So purport says that one who takes pleasure in laziness and in sleep is certainly in a mode of a darkness, ignorance, and one who has no idea how to act and how not to act is also in a mode of ignorance. For the person in a mode of ignorance, everything is illusion. There is no happiness either in the beginning or at the end. For the person in a mode of a passion, there might be some kind of a happiness in the beginning, but at the end it is a distress. But for the person in a mode of ignorance, there is distress at the end also and at the beginning also. So here, like specific activities Krishna is mentioning. What is it? That nidra, that means sleep, alasya means laziness, and pramad means illusion. Now, again, about the sleep, sleep is necessary. We all need at least 4 to 5 hours good sleep. And again, in Yukta Ahara Viharasya, and there are two verses in sixth chapter, I think 16 and 17, two verses are there which are talking about that it should be balanced. Balanced sleep is necessary. Balanced eating is necessary. Balanced. It should be all overeating, oversleeping will not take you anywhere. It is not the you will not be successful in your yoga. That is what Krishna there also is specifically mentioning. That sleep is essential for a body function, but here it is talking about the taking pleasure in the sleep. It is not because like so doing the things for a duty and doing the things for a pleasure. Again, there is a slight, I mean, it seems like the activities are same, but there is a lot of difference. I mean, how your consciousness is, there is a lot of difference. So when one sleeps for a pleasure for hours and hours, or like, when they are so lazy that like, they don't want to do any kind of activity, just sit on the couch for hours and hours, then these are all like, very tamasic things, and that tamasic things will not take you anywhere. And here again, some examples are the people who are addicted to things, addicted to say TV. Then like it will make you very dull. It will make you very it feels like there is no pleasure in the beginning, also in the end. Because while talking, also I was explaining this verse to my son yesterday, and he's very much into playing that game Call of Duty and all that, and there is all kind of a violence I saw so many times. And I was asking him that please do not play this kind of a game where like where you are playing, you think that I'm seeking some pleasure out of it, but it is so stressful. Like it's continuously you're killing someone, and there are people who are attacking you, so you are in the distress throughout that game. And after playing that game also you feel so much of a distress because you won or your friend won, or whatever is going on, and you feel so dull and you just sit quietly. You feel like I don't want to do anything. So that dullness comes, that illusion dullness comes, that laziness comes. So you have to really check what kind of activities you are involved in. And definitely, I know all of you regularly attending these classes and keeping yourself in a tight schedule, discipline routine. You are not at all in a mode of a tamasic mode. But when you come in contact with the tamas, you might acquire the tamasic activities for like at least some time of like some period. So you have to be very careful, and that's why my Guru Maharaj always says that use your intelligence while choosing your association, while eating. You have to be very, very careful with what consciousness that food is prepared, with what consciousness, because I see myself also getting so much affected, even if consciousness is slightly different, it definitely affects your body and your way of thinking, and then complete your activities that day. So these are three kind of sukha that we were talking about, and I talked a lot about different kind of scenarios and activities, and dhruti and mind and everything. So now I will end here. Please, if you have any comment on these three verses, four verses. Hari bol. So again, talking about this, listening these verses carefully and talking about it, it's just a service. You don't want to. Please do not comment on I talk nicely or something about it. It is all Krishna's mercy, and He is giving me intelligence, and I'm delivering this. So just praise Krishna, just praise these verses. That what is the wonderful thing you are getting from these four verses. So you can comment on that. So please feel free to do this service. I'm just muting myself. Hari Bol, Hari Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare.
Mataji. Dhanwad. Sorry, Gita Mataji, please go
No,
ahead.
no, no, please go ahead, Mataji.
So yeah, Mataji, you gave very nice example of the mode of goodness thing that our parents, like our mother, they were getting up early and doing all the things in the back of the we were in our childhood. So thank you so much for that. And also you was explaining about the mode of passion, that our activities are in mode of passion. But like if we are foodie, we cook. But if we cook food for Krishna, or if we do painting, like you like painting, you does painting, so you always do some Krishna conscious painting. And if we go for a hike or beach, we do chanting japa. So whatever activity we are doing, if we do it with Krishna consciousness, like um if today I'm cooking something, so instead of asking our kids what do you like today, we can ask our home deities, like if we have a Jagannath or we have a Gaurnitai. Hey Gaurnitai, what do you like to eat today? Or Jagannath ji, what do you like to eat today? What can I make for you? So if we think like this consciousness, we do these things, it will come automatically in the mode of goodness. So I would like to add this. So thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I was giving that example, Mataji, because I was saying that, as you are saying, that yes, if we do that with the right consciousness, it will come into, it's not even mode of goodness, it will become a spiritual activity. It will go beyond that, but our consciousness is not yet there. And we say that we are doing Krishna conscious activities, but in our mind, it is like somewhere we are like a pleasure seeking animal, and we are like looking for the pleasure into everything that we are doing. And our consciousness is unless and until our consciousness is not rightly set, these are not the, it doesn't become a spiritual activity. It becomes like a goodness, passion, or like ignorance activities. That's what I was just giving that example and mentioning that sometimes I mean, it happens with me. Even if I'm doing puja, I'm doing the activity of actually worshipping, but I'm thinking about something else. So if you're doing, saying that yeah, you are cooking for the Krishna, but we are looking forward to eat that and enjoy that food, and that doesn't become like a really spiritual act. So that's what I was just giving a slight example. Doesn't mean that, yeah, I was talking for myself, Mataji. So pardon me if you don't misunderstand, but I was thinking about how the consciousness is not rightly set, and I was just doing swadhyay, self study, and where I'm going in the Krishna consciousness. And that time I was analyzing that, even if it looks like I'm doing Krishna consciousness activity, it looks like I'm doing that, but it is not. It doesn't mean that I'm doing it, because my consciousness is not right. Then it will not, definitely I'll not progress. And again, it is nothing to tell others. It is just for our self-examination. Because I'm explaining these verses, I have to give these kind of examples. So sorry about that. But it is you have to, you yourself have to decide that what kind of activity I'm doing. Yeah. Hari Bol, Hari Krishna.
Yes,
Thank you,
Mataji. Thank you
Mataji.
so much for
Thank
explaining
you.
nicely. And
Thank you.
also, if we go for shopping, for grocery shopping or any shopping, we can buy something, small thing also we can buy for Krishna. Like we're going to grocery, we can buy agarbatti, or we can any like sesame seed oil for his diya, like that. So it becomes again Krishna consciousness. Or we
Mhm.
can buying our dresses, or then we can buy one jewelry for Krishna, like that. So any activity we can add for Krishna will be like more spiritual, like you said. It will be spiritual activity. So thank you, Mataji, for explaining very nicely. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Any other comment? It is 8:35. Geeta Mataji, you want to say anything? Okay, anyone else?
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Yeah, we discussed about the three modes and trying to find happiness according to the physical conditions of the human beings, like goodness, passion, and ignorance. But all remains like temporary, like you explained the Anand. The Anand is a beyond the distress and happiness, which is,
Yes.
yeah, that Anand, which is the Prabhupada's trying to guide us, our scriptures trying to guide us to the beyond this happiness and distress, because all these are temporary. In material world, this temporary happiness, it's a habit of our senses and the mind. Mind is flickering, constant flickering mind. And our senses have a temporary knowledge. It's a short knowledge, I would say, not temporary, but short knowledge of it. All our senses have a temporary, limited knowledge, and we get fed up immediately, or within short time. And mind is cooperating these things, because mind in 626 yato yato nischalti manaschanchalamastitam tatastato niyamet atmaneva vasam. So these happiness, we temporary happiness in material world, are flickering, through the mind and senses. So to reach the anand, that is what the Krishna consciousness is teaching us. That's what the Lord Krishna is trying to talk to us for. Hare Krishna. Hello? Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hari Bol. Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Ananda is what is we want, which is permanent. That's what I was explaining. So unless and until you come to the mode of goodness, then you have to transcend even mode of goodness and go beyond these three mode is that ananda that we are looking for. That is the spiritual realm. It is not material. So that will go beyond these three, but come to at least goodness, and then there are chances that you will go beyond that. That is what I was reading. Yeah. Thank you so much. Very nice. Yes. Okay. We will stop here. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमानंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, भगवत
Jai,
गीता की जय, श्रीमद्
Jai,
भागवतम की जय,
Jai.
all the assembled devotees की जय। हरि हरि बोल, राधे राधे।
Bol. Mataji, because Prabhu joined after a long time, so we can welcome him back.
Hare Krishna Vikas Prabhu.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hare
हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल।
Hare Krishna, Vikas Prabhu, please. Welcome back.
I was traveling, Mataji, so that's the reason for last two classes I was absent, and today I could at least log in. So then I made an effort, and around 8:10 I logged in. But very nice class, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
New
Welcome.
Year's coming, Christian New Year's, we call it, but we all follow the Christian New Year's. So everybody have a safe New Year's. Be careful driving, because that's the most important part. A lot of accidents happens in this holiday. So
Yes,
I wish everybody drive careful or possible. Don't drive if you don't need to, So
Can we chant 3 times Hare Krishna for the New Year and all, for everybody should be successful and Happy New Year?
yes,
Oh,
sure.
yes, Prabhuji, sure. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
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 Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
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 Rama,
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 Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama
Rama
Rama,
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 Hare
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 Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hare
Happy
Bol.
Krishna.
Hare
Have
Bol.
a
Hare
happy
Krishna.
Krishna conscious year ahead, everyone. Hari Bol.
Hare Bol. Happy Krishna conscious New Year to everyone. And see you in your New Year. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.